What's good?
Bro, I told you I was 1 round off.
I was too. I picked round 10 on my prediction.
I picked round 9
Oh
to
yeah,
10.
you did too. You did too, didn't you?
Yeah, I picked round 9 to 10, and I'm pissed because I didn't get paid for it.
Hey, Hitman.
What's up?
You picked Canelo to win in the 10th by knockout?
I picked him to stop him in the 10th by knockout or TKO. I said that he was going to break his body down, and then like later in like the 9th to 10th, I kind of had thoughts about the 11th because I seen him get tired before in that round before with Uzcategui. But I just said, 9th to 10th because it's Canelo.
No, get a shirt out my back. I want to hear what DJ got to say before I go in. Hey, I'm about to let them have it.
The shirt, Daddy?
Yeah, go ahead. Go get the bed. Don't get out your bed.
First of all,
right there.
I like to welcome back Hitman. I'm glad you on today.
Oh, thank you. It's going to be for a short little while, though. I just wanted to pop up and get my thoughts on it.
Well, it's good to hear. It's good to hear you on. I'm glad you on, little brother. That's number one. Number two, it was a great. I overall thought it was a good fight. I thought Caleb Plant did more than a lot of people expected. I knew Caleb Plant was going to do what he was doing, but again, like Canelo said, hey, I hope you got what do he say, strong enough chin or whatever. I mean, and we see why. I mean, man, listen. I'm still not really believing the hype on Canelo, but listen, listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
He beating guys, and I gotta listen. That's how I felt about William C. the job for a long time. I was always like, all these guys gonna beat him. And then one day I just stopped believing that he was ever going to get beat. And then a guy like Frankie Randall comes in there and gives him a great fight. So maybe I can just stop the hoopla because I'm going to be real. Canelo must hit seriously hard. For that kid, Caleb Plant, to be on his A game and doing everything right and then just gets clocked on the 10 when he gets the guard split because that's basically what happened. I don't know, he didn't have his guard up tight enough, or it was just that Canelo seriously split the guard.
Don't come.
It was one of them situations like his guard got seriously split, and that's what happened.
Canelo caught him with a crazy ass shot.
That was the punch that ended the fight.
Canelo caught him with a crazy hook, then he ended it with a crazy uppercut. I don't know how he landed that. The angle he hit that shot at was outstanding.
I promise when he hit that hook and Caleb Plant legs like wobbled, I was like, here we go. And y'all seen I screenshot since the round right before I tweeted. I said Caleb Plant is gassing each round. Feel a knockdown coming.
This is what I'm talking about. When you got a fighter, right? First of all, I said Canelo in 3, right?
Yeah.
I was really being an asshole.
I know you were.
But at the end of the day, right? You cannot put a dude in the ring with only 21 professional fights, where his last 5 fights, we don't even know who his last 5 fights is. As far as
that's not always true, Briz. We talking about a division that we have a lot of no names.
No,
I mean, you have a few guys on the team that know certain fighters when you do your research, but
no.
How could you say that against a group of fighters in that division that a lot of people don't really know?
How? But see, you got to remember this, right? You got the Anthony Dirrells, the Andre Dirrell.
Right.
You got them boys that Canelo never fight. They top 10 fighters. You got
you got the whole top 10.
Yeah, like Caleb Plant. He good, right? But he's not seasoned enough to fight a guy like we're not talking about. All right, say like Caleb Plant was to fight somebody like Anthony Dirrell. Yeah, it may make for a great fight, but we talking the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. You got to remember, dudes that had that title was Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather,
Roy
Canelo
Jones.
Alvarez. We talking 51 and 1 with one draw, who beat dudes like Triple G, Danny Jacobs,
Laura.
Estienne Laura, Alfred Angulo,
Calvin Smith.
Joselito Lopez. He been in the ring with some real top 10 guys. And
Right, he has.
And then to throw a dude in there who's never been in there with that type of opposition, and Caleb Plant, who's only 21-0. I knew that, and then I'm listening to the comments, right? I'm watching the, we in our group chat, and people are saying that he's hitting them with a lot of arm shots and a lot of arm shots and a lot of body shots. And it ain't, let me tell you something, man, DJ, that's why I said I was kind of surprised. You've been in the ring before. Canelo throwing a punch at your arm is like getting hit with a baseball. So
I understand that.
So that defense that Caleb Plant had was going to wear down in a minute. And
hey, man, but listen, but then that's when I say you can't really, on my, in my defense, I'm saying that you really can't say that against a fighter, especially if you mentally train for that type of fight. Listen, you just said something in the last conversation we talked about Slick. You said that y'all told the other guy not to get knocked out, right?
Right.
The only thing he has to do is not get knocked out. All right. So if you have a game plan and you're training for that game plan, nothing should violate that game plan, but the fact that somebody just outpowered you.
All right, let me reiterate on that. When I said that the guy that was fighting Nick, whole game plan was not to get knocked out. Yeah, the guy that Nick fought was 3 wins and 20 losses. So all he did was dance around the ring for 4 rounds. Caleb Plant tried to dance around the ring for 12 championship rounds. That's not going to work against a guy like Canelo.
At this point,
all right. So let me ask you this, because this was something that overall, I was not surprised with Caleb Plant performance. Like he stuck the jab. He does what Caleb Plant does.
Right.
Now, if he would have had a little bit more power behind some of those shots, I think it would have made a difference. If he would have sat on his power.
It probably would have, but guess what we dealing with? He don't have the power.
Sibbie, are you wearing a Pornhub hat?
So a lot of times, right?
Be quiet,
like what Sibb said yesterday when I said, "Come on, Sibb." Sibb was like, I said, Caleb Plant only got his whole job was to throw a jab, throw a jab, throw a jab. That's the only thing they had in his arsenal.
No, he did more, Briz.
What did he do? What did he do?
Little
he gave you.
He
not only did he give you that jab, he gave you the up jab. He did touch Canelo to the body a few times, and he basically was. To me, he controlled the momentum of the fight for the most of the fight. I had him up. I had him up 7 rounds to. I had him up by 5 rounds to the 4.
I disagree with that because listen, CompuBox had a score. Caleb Plant was winning in jabs. Canelo was killing him in power shots.
Of course, Canelo's gonna kill anybody in power shots. Well, that's what Canelo does.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, how can you judge it if like Caleb Plant was killing him with a jab, and Canelo was killing him with body shots? So I would score the fight even up until the stoppage. But I knew that
I had a 6-4 Canelo. I thought Caleb controlled a lot.
And a lot of those shots that Canelo was throwing to the body. I'm sorry, man. What you saying? Sorry.
Huh?
You were saying something. I apologize.
No, I had Canelo winning 6-4 up until the stoppage. I thought Caleb was doing some good work, but his main problem, because I have some of my training partners over, so it's always good to get word with dudes you spar with. They were all saying the same thing. He could probably not win the fight, but he could probably steal some rounds if he just did a little bit more. He would have good openings. I would see a straight right down the pipe. he wouldn't take the opening. He was trying to box too pretty. And like
That's
the
the
thing is,
problem.
boxing
No,
pretty
he
against
was being
Canelo, that's not gonna
elusive.
work.
It
You gotta
wasn't.
get.
I wouldn't call that being pretty.
The
No,
thing,
I
hold
would
on.
call it being elusive. He's a slick fighter, and he used the Philly shell pretty well.
he
No,
did.
You
You
can't
gotta
tell
look
me
at
he
how
didn't use
Floyd did it.
that shell defense
The
well.
thing is,
You gotta look
he
at how
used,
Floyd did it. When Floyd fought him, Floyd looked gorgeous that fight, but Floyd still like in a way dogged him to let Canelo know, hey, you're not about to just hold your ground over here. You gotta work for that. And Caleb wasn't really
Hitman. The difference between Floyd when Floyd fought Canelo only had like he was only 19, in between 19 and 21 when he fought Floyd.
he was 23 with like more fights than Floyd.
But the fights that he had more than Floyd wasn't top 10 guys.
No, he had a couple
And
top
hold
10
on.
guys, but it doesn't matter if he had like a million top 10 guys. He would never beat Floyd. Canelo could never beat Floyd.
No, what I'm saying is, but once he fought Floyd, he got more experience because he started fighting dudes with bigger
Plant should have
names.
had a fight with like Benavidez.
Somebody
should have been fought like a Benavidez or
like
somebody
Caleb,
else.
right? Caleb Plant before the Canelo fight, he could have fought. He'd have did better. Like I said, he would have did better against like the Anthony Durrells.
Right. I get what you're saying, but it would have been a tune-up for him to see where it was at.
He didn't have no big
but
fight.
Durrell, to my defense, real quick, I want to Apostle says, bottom line, he just didn't have enough pop to keep Canelo at bay. He had what did he say? He said he had he lapsed in his defense and got caught with the clean flush shot. That's what Apostle said. Now, to piggyback off of that, I will honestly say, I think if Caleb would have went in there, let's say he fought Durrell. Durrell looked impressive because Durrell went in there aggressively against this fighter. But we know Anthony Durrell, he has his ups and downs first. This fight, he was impressive. And then, listening to a conversation he had in an interview, he really is at the point where he's like, yo, I don't know how many more of these fights I'm going to have, so I'm going to be out there on the line.
But he fought guys like David Benavidez, Sergio Biker. He had Badu Jack. He got the names under his belt that if he fought a guy like Canelo, he would have more in his arsenal. Caleb Plant dominated all. I don't even think in the last 5 fights he probably never lost a round.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, what you think separated Caleb Plant from the Durrell? What was the whole thing?
The only thing that separated him from them was the fact that the way the chips fell for him, he ended up getting the title that would make Canelo the undisputed if he win.
Oh, all right. And so if I was Canelo, I would have did the same thing. I would have.
No doubt.
I'm going to risk fighting to lose my belt when I got a belt that I want to get for dominancy and supremacy. And believe it or not, somebody said, you can't now. For me, I don't want to hear no more comparisons with Canelo and Floyd Mayweather. I'm gonna tell you why. I don't. I'm like that comment. Like with people like Canelo could never beat Floyd. That's not what I'm talking about. Right. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about the overall people that do this boxing thing and blog. This is what I want to say. Now, Canelo, you can't even compare him because he did something that a lot of fighters haven't done. He's on a list of 6 fighters, which is he got all the belt, and now he solidified his own legacy. That's how I feel about it. Floyd is who he is, but now Canelo Alvarez has made his own name. Like him or not, Canelo Alvarez is now amongst the 6 of in any division of boxing that has unified a weight division.
Here's what I got to say about when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather, this great. I just want y'all to follow me here. Floyd Mayweather, Biggie Smalls, and Michael Jordan, right? They all considered the greatest in their collective field. boxing, rapping, and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
People always think that's the plateau. Like if I was a rapper and you're going to tell me that Biggie Smalls is the greatest rapper and nobody will ever be better than Biggie, why am I going to even be a rapper if my plateau is only to be underneath Biggie? If my basketball skills is only to be under Michael Jordan, if my boxing skills is only to be under Floyd Mayweather. Floyd don't even box no more. People still be like, Canelo would never beat Floyd. How do you know? Floyd is 50. Canelo ain't 50. Michael Jordan is 60.
Right.
Even if Floyd wasn't 50, he was still boxing. The highest Floyd ever fought was 54. Canelo's at 68. So it's
No,
like,
I'm just, I feel
I honestly think,
I'm agreeing with you.
not to bring.
I don't think that everybody think that these guys is greater. They great. And as long as you're in the sport, you can never be better than him.
Right. Now, the tough thing now also is that we talking about, let's talk about back to somebody did put up here that the only person that down would be Andre. Now, we don't know if that would be the truth now because here it is now. We got an old Andre Ward that hasn't fought in over 2 or 3 years. So we don't know what we would get out of Andre Ward at this stage of the game.
He's retired, man.
Yeah,
he's retired.
He's not here no more. So it's like
pointless talking about.
Listen, every time you're going to get this, every time that somebody wins a fight, the world is going to pull somebody else out the hat that he can't beat.
Right.
I'm gonna say this.
He can't beat Andre Ward. Andre Ward don't box no more.
I'm gonna say this.
So we can't talk about Andre Ward.
Right.
You got to talk about. So go ahead, Sibbie, because I was going to bring up a point. We did talk about the 3 fighters that Canelo said he was fighting, which was Andre Ward. I mean, not Andre Ward. He said
Benavidez, Charlo, and I don't know the third one.
Right?
Out of those 3, and I mean, I'm gonna be real. I throw Anthony Durrell in that conversation as well because I mean, after the performance he had against the fighting he had, you got to throw him in the conversation. I say, you have an Anthony Durrell like they looking up at the tune-up, and you make him fight either Charlo or Benavidez and see where it's at.
Well, Benavidez stopped him already.
Yeah.
4th round.
Yeah, I don't think Durrell got no business being in there. I think Durrell's a perfect comeback opponent for Caleb Plant.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Right.
That's the thing they need to do. They need to I think it's gonna go like this. I think it's gonna be Canelo and Charlo next, and I think they might put Plant and Durrell on that undercard. I think they actually might do something like that. That would be smart because the undercard for this fight, I don't know what they were thinking with this undercard.
AKA Apostle said, he said honestly, hold up. He said honestly, looking at the last fight last night, some of the success of Caleb Plant last night, I believe his toughest challenge is Boo Boo Andre.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm the biggest Boo Boo fan. Y'all probably know.
I think Boo Boo goes out the same way.
I think the biggest. First of all, I don't think anyone from 160 to 175 beats Canelo. For being honest, but I think his biggest challenge is David Benavidez. Not saying he beats him. I think that's his biggest challenge.
I'm gonna just say this before I get off. You ready? I got 4 more guys. I'm gonna have hope that could mess with Canelo, and if Canelo beats them, I'm done. Nobody's messing with him. I'm done.
Well, let me hear these. Let me hear these 4.
You can't say 4.
No, I'm gonna tell you who the 4 guys.
He got 4. He got 4. That's his opinion. Let me hear you.
Charlo, Benavidez, Bivol, and Beterbiev. Those are only 4 guys I'm picking against Canelo.
But you got 2 at 175. You got 2 at 175 and 2 at 168.
Yeah,
Charlo ain't
that's
even
it.
168 yet.
Those are the only 4 guys I'm giving a glimmer of hope to. If he dusts them 4, I'm done. I'm done watching Canelo fights. Let me know when he loses, then I'll pay attention to his next fight. Other than that, y'all had a great night. It was good chopping it up with y'all. The Hitman will see you again if you smell what the Hitman is cooking.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right.
I think Benavidez. Benavidez.
I'm sorry.
Benavidez makes a great fight. he has to come in the ring in tip-top condition.
That's
he can't come.
Okay.
His
Well,
own.
we got a few guests on. I mean, let's see if we can get Apostle on or somebody else on to kind of give us a feedback of what they think. Apostle on. You want to do that, Sid? What's up to you?
I'm just looking at invites. I only got one invite right now.
Oh, Apostle's on.
Well, let Apostle send it. Let it wait till you send a request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm not. I mean, listen. David would never beat Canelo.
I don't. Well, let me just. I don't think Benavidez will beat Canelo. I said I think he will be his toughest challenge.
Yeah, I think he'll challenge them in the deep waters.
He's clearly bigger. He's
right.
not. He's not quicker than Canelo, but he has hand speed. His gas is round after round after round. It doesn't run out. He throws punches and bunches round after round. He's gonna always come to you.
And he hit with power. He have enough power to keep Canelo off of him.
Exactly. I don't think he beats Canelo, but
my thing is he has to come in shape. Because if you come into a Canelo fight, your body not right, them body shots, man, I'm telling you, man, them Jones come like baseballs, man.
Canelo just knows how to carry his power.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, in round 10, he started getting real aggressive with those punches.
And
I
then
said, oh, okay.
Another thing about the shoulder roll, right? When Floyd Mayweather does the shoulder roll, it's very rare that he's leaning on the ropes when he do it.
Right.
Caleb Plant was leaning on the ropes when he was doing it, so it left him room for, like, you up against a wall. So when Canelo was throwing a power shot, you was leaning back, but the ropes was allowing you to bounce forward. So you was going to get caught. The shots was going to be harder than they originally would. He did a great job of rolling off some punches. Like right. I watched some stuff, man, that would have put the average dude out but Caleb Plant just had perfect timing. Like, don't get me wrong, right? That's why I said, like, 30-0 Caleb Plant, I would have had to fight way different. But a 21-0, it really makes a difference because that like, if you eliminate them five, his last 5 fights, we don't know them guys, man. They wasn't.
Well, I think the inexperience hurt him too because he got a real fast. He ran over to the corner like he was hurt, and he was trying to get himself together. That's when inexperience comes. If he would have took the knee, I think he would have been all right to get his composure and get at the count of 8
and taking a knee.
I think he would have survived the round because there wasn't that much time left in the round.
And like you said, that's charged to inexperience.
Right. Right. I still do think Caleb Plant has a very bright future. I don't think it's over because of his loss. I think it just depends on how he accepts it. And what's going on, brother? Welcome to the show, man. We glad to have you on. It's a privilege. If anybody don't know, this is the Apostle. He has his own show, but he's coming on our show and he's going to give us some of his intake on what he thought about the fight overall from both sides, Caleb Plant and Canelo. So, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, champions? What's up with y'all?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
Hey, Apostle, I want to say something to you real fast, man. You had a question on your John. You had a question on your show, on your page on Facebook. You said, who's the best between Scottie Pippen and Paul George? I started to delete that.
I did?
Yeah, somebody asked I started to delete it. Like, if people think that Paul George is anywhere near Scottie Pippen, I'm not talking basketball no more.
No,
you said Paul George. I thought you said Paul Pierce.
No, Paul George. But anyway.
Nah, man, I ain't messing with that, man.
Anyway.
So what is your thoughts about the way Caleb Plant performed, and what is your thoughts about how Canelo overall dominated the fight after a while?
I mean, you gotta give him credit for the stoppage. The stoppage was what took it over the top. I thought Caleb was the way it was going. It looked like Caleb was going to at least make it to the finish line. You know what I mean? But then that one shot just came through and just killed this whole world. You know what I mean? He was gone from the initial shot.
Once he got up, he went from one side of the ring to the other. I said, yeah,
he was drunk. He was drunk.
I said, it's over.
But some of the stuff he did, like even as Canelo was coming on, he was clipping Canelo coming into on some of those exchanges.
Right. That's why I say he was. To me, I thought he at least had 5 of the 4 rounds, and I thought he was ahead on a lot of the scorecards. But then when I seen Steve Fatherhood, say what he said, I was just like, because he caught a lot of Canelo power shots, a lot of them.
Well, I never listened to Steve Farhood's card anyway, man. He always left field.
Well, you got to remember Steve Farhood works for Showtime. So, he's going to big up everything Canelo do.
I mean, he just don't never give the boxer a fair shake. Like whenever it's a boxer in the ring, you on his card, they get 2 rounds going the other way.
Right.
I don't think Caleb Plant got nothing to be ashamed of. I think Caleb Plant
absolutely not.
I think he put on a pretty good show. He got caught with a clean shot that he just couldn't recover from.
I think, see, here's another thing, right? That I kind of, I used to didn't respect it, but now I kind of respect when when fighters get, the bigger that they get, they want better trainers. They don't want the guys that they're gym guys like you got Gabe Rosado, who's a great fight. Now he got Freddie Roach in his corner. Because I mean, you gotta pick up better experienced trainers than the guys that you normally just be in the gym with when you reach that level. Because he can get you over the hump. You know what I mean? It's some things that Caleb Plant trainer was just not telling him because he was just as inexperienced against the 51-2 Canelo Alvarez, just like Caleb Plant was.
Ask you a question though. Would Freddie Roach or any better trainer, they gonna make Caleb Plant punch harder?
No. What I'm saying is, no, they don't make him punch harder, but Caleb Plant just had one game plan.
I mean, you could tell he was kind of like he wasn't crisp. His punches wasn't crisp, but they was landing, and he was able to land them in bunches. But the one thing I didn't like was he kept dipping his head. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That's exactly why he got caught with that shot.
Whose fault is that, though? Is that his or his corner?
Well, you know, yeah, guy, thank you. I say both. Okay,
so somebody has to tell him what's wrong, right? And if you don't have that, experience, nobody. The only thing that I'm saying is, like, although we give everybody a fair shake that step in that ring. Everybody that step in that ring, man, I congratulate them because boxing is not something that you play with.
Right.
But when you're 51 fights with 17 championship fights, you're fighting a guy that's 21-0 with 4 championship fights, and having the guys that he defended his title against is inexperienced. Okay. I don't think that makes a good victory for Caleb Plant over Canelo.
Listen, I mean, let me interject there. I would say I think mentally Andre Ward did prepare Caleb Plant the best he could. I just think that unfortunately, going against the power punches, you have to train your fighter now. Listen, we going to deep waters. You got to train the fighter to turn over his punches. You got to work on. You got to have in that camp. You got to have 2 days of power punching. You got to have 2 days of turning over punches and making them feel different because now when you go in the sparring, you gotta have a guy that's when you throwing them hard shots, you gotta be putting on the body cast on the fighter and letting them see. Let me see how this is going to affect me mentally when I'm going into fights. You gotta train the punch power.
You're right, but listen, see, here's what I'm saying. We talking 2 Triple G fights, right? Where Canelo wasn't hurt in either fight.
Nice.
You can't go into me telling Caleb Plant, I'm gonna tell Caleb Plant, like, listen, if Triple G can't hurt him, you got to come in the ring with some power.
Man, listen, man, and I'm gonna be real, and I'm not saying it to be funny, but who's to say Triple G really hit Canelo that hard? It could have looked hard, but no, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. And all right, there was like 2 shots that Caleb Plant got hit with flush, and he took them. He took them. So you can't say that nobody don't have the power. Like Triple G power is just that elite.
Listen to what I'm telling you, DJ.
No, just get hit with a good shot.
You just said you describing Caleb Plant getting hit with a punch. I'm describing Canelo getting hit with a punch. Because if Triple G can't hurt Canelo, I'm telling Caleb Plant that he has to come in the ring. We already know you got the speed. We already know you got the slickness. Now we have to work on power. Because
we have to. Okay. We have to work. We have to have a camp that we're working on power and working on conditioning. Because conditioning was a key too. When you start dropping your shots, you come from here to here, where you get clipped through the guard. Then that tells me the conditioning wasn't, or the train. Not that his conditioning wasn't there. That they didn't train for this type of conditioning.
I don't think it was more so his conditioning. I think it was a lot of instant pressure from Canelo, and a lot of times all Canelo could do was the cleanest shots he could land was to the body. You notice he'll hold Plant's head down a lot, throw to the side of his body, throw into his belly. Most of his punches in the early rounds is body punches.
Right.
Well, then that's how you. But then you watch. Then that comes in with studying film. That comes in when you watch the guy fight.
I agree with that.
Canelo's gonna do that. When you get in there and sparring a guy, like when you put it, Caleb Plant there and sparring a guy, you tell a guy to do shit like that. You tell a guy to hold his head down, punch him to the body.
I agree.
That's the type of trait you got to mentally go in for the fight the way you want to get into the fight. Not to bring this up, but
he was scared to get hit too, because
who's scared to get hit?
No, I'm saying I ain't gonna say scared. Plant. I ain't gonna say scared. I'm gonna rephrase that. He didn't want to get hit with a solid shot. He almost climbed out the ring one time to avoid a shot. You see this, Sam?
Don't do that, man. Hey, man, don't do that, man.
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that, man.
Y'all don't remember?
I don't remember him climbing out the ring.
He turned his body to Canelo. And when
he turned his head, listen,
his body through the ropes, so Canelo put his head
through the ropes. That's what I'm talking about. He
that was the avoid to get hit clipped on top of the head, Briz. I would have did the same thing.
What I'm saying is there were plenty times in the fight where he turned his head to no doubt he was avoiding something. He was avoiding something, but he turned his head in an inexperienced way.
Oh, okay. If you want to give it that, but who says that was inexperienced? Because it looked like to me it was more deliberate, so he wouldn't get hit and the ref could break it up before it happened.
That's inexperienced because you're supposed to protect yourself at all times.
Who's to say that was in the game plan of the corner?
That's inexperience.
No, listen. I know what you're talking about.
You never tell your fighter to turn his head so he could get clipped illegally and like, all right, like they said that they might protest the Javon Ennis knockdown because it was a behind the head punch. Your fighter ducked his head and got hit like that. So rather it was illegal, whether it was illegal or not, he shouldn't have been down there like that.
Facts.
That's what I'm saying. There were times that Caleb Plant did get hit on the head. It was his fault because the way he was protecting
No. Hold on. All of what his fault. We're not gonna do that.
No, what I'm saying is, if he would have got hit,
if he would have got hit behind his head, then he couldn't blame it because the way he was turning.
No.
Hold on one second.
At the beginning of that fight, Canelo was targeting them shots. He was right. He was right to try to do something to stop it. In the first couple of rounds, Canelo was frustrated. He was. You can see the.
I said the same thing on my post, and people were so mad at me. People was mad at me, and I said I had
no. You can see the frustration because I think it was around 8 or 9.
That's what I was saying.
You see Canelo come in a little angry with his punches, where he was getting whipped and actually getting clipped by Caleb Plant in those rounds to land those shots that he wanted to land. It was almost like he came out frustrated. He was throwing hard shots to the body, and then he was getting clipped. Now, the other thing I want to forget is that possible.
The one thing that y'all did say about training that his trainer didn't tell him, that he should have told him. See, it's certain things you can do when a fighter's coming at you in them corners that you ain't even got to shut up. You could just turn your body and blunt his offense. That's one thing he could have did. And two,
hold on, you said turn his body, right?
Right.
He was turning his head. He was leaving his body still, and he had just turned his head. That's inexperience.
I'm 100% agreeing with you.
I think.
But
I think one of his I think one of the biggest mistakes he made that his corner didn't tell him. He countered with all single shots. I'm like,
right, he should have doubled and tripled up on those counters.
He slipped when the Philly share counter with the right. I'm like, what else is coming after that?
But then he don't come with the overhand with the left and or hit downstairs or 2-3 punch. That's why I was training this weekend.
You know what?
Two things I'm gonna get into. Train.
Because it was too risky. The one shot.
But you can't be too risky. Listen, and I'm not saying it. You can't be too risky trying to get all the belts. You gotta be risky.
That's an experience, bro. That's an experience.
Yeah, well, then that's also the training because when I train guys now, when I train guys now, and we doing like the catch and shoot, I always tell them after you shoot, throw 2 or 3 punches, and it gets to a point where they just throw the one and they think it's okay. No. Throw more than 1 punch because when you get into that mentality of doing it, you want to do it by yourself and nobody's going to be able to. That's number 1. And number 2, when you training for war, and this is sidebar, when the organism, when you watch the Butler and those protesters, they would get ready for what they did with the psychological warfare. They was getting drink poured on. They train for that. So when you training somebody for a world fight, you know that Canelo is a guy that pulls the head down, hits to the body. Why are you not going in there doing that type of training when you fighting for a world title? Because this is what you're going to deal with. This is what you're going to deal with.
All right, and guess what? All of that come from inexperience. That's all I'm saying.
But me as a trainer and me as a fighter, knowing that going in, then you can't tell me that other trainers and fighters don't know that I'm going into a war, that this is what I got to train for. You got to train for the dirtiness. You got to train for it all.
That's what I'm saying. All of that.
Briz,
yes, go ahead.
Ask a question. You're talking about a guy who at best had 2 title defenses, right? At best, 2 title defenses and 20-some fights. We're going to get
4 title defenses.
Were they really 4?
That's what I'm trying to say. I agree with you.
At the most 4, and he's going against a guy who's been in the ring with everybody.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
That's what I said.
So I mean, how much did we really expect from Caleb last night?
They expected a win.
Not me.
Listen, I'm gonna be real. Listen.
My prediction.
Let me just say this: you had one of the best fighters in the world come to your camp, meaning like you had a chance to pick his brain. In Andre Ward, let me just say, and Andre Ward came to your camp. That means that Andre Ward is giving. I'm asking questions. What's your mentality going into the fight against a dirty fight? How do you? Hey, you gotta rumble up. You gotta make it ugly. Caleb should have made it an ugly fight. I would have made it an ugly fight. There's no way I'm getting in there with Canelo Alvarez, and I'm not training my fighter to expect to pull down at the head and a hit to the body. I'm not expecting them to get pushed in the face. I'm not expecting that. Like, come on, man.
Let me ask
Come
you.
on. This means, for me, this means that mentally the fighters don't think about going into a war. I think about going into a war when I fight.
Okay, DJ, let me ask you a question. So is Caleb Plant against I'm gonna rephrase it. Is Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter versus Caleb Plant and who?
Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter versus.
Hold on, I'm confused on the question.
Who is his trainer?
Who was Andre Ward trainer?
Who is Caleb Plant?
Who is Caleb Plant's trainer?
An inexperienced trainer. Now Andre Ward has Virgil Hunter. It's easy to go to Virgil Hunter and say, what should I do against a guy like Canelo? We talking about the Ghost Whisperer. We talking about a guy that's experienced in Virgil Hunter. Caleb Plant don't have that. That's why I said
you had the best fighter in the world come to your camp and you don't ask these questions.
You can,
Briz. You don't ask these questions, Briz.
Listen, you can you can ask all the questions in the world, but at the end of the day, you still got to fight.
It's two things that, like, I see your point, DJ, but it's two things. One, we don't even know how long Andre Ward was in his camp for, because we just know him
Let's say even if it's that one day, I'm taking notes.
But
I'm taking notes, bro.
The thing is, Andre Ward, and hear me out, he never fought a style like Canelo. Great resume, not saying nothing bad about Ward, but he never fought someone that had a Canelo style. So it's only so much you can tell him that Caleb Plant can really take from him.
I beg to differ. I'm gonna tell you why.
Has
Andre Ward been in wars? Has he been into the deep waters?
No, listen. I'm not saying Andre didn't fight nobody great. I would never be that disrespectful. What I'm saying
I'm not saying you say that. I'm saying my question to you and to you as fighters and people watching Briz, if Joe Frazier told you about going into wars, if Canelo Hopkins told you about how to train into going into wars, the tactics of fighting a clean, dirty fight, you're not going to put those in your arsenal when you're going against a Canelo Alvarez to get 4 belts, to get the unit undisputed?
That's true. That's true.
You asking me the question? Yes. But at the same time, listen, Joe Frazier and Bernard Hopkins will have to bring those type of sparring partners in the ring for me to get down and dirty with them and for me to be able to apply that when I get in the ring. They can tell me anything, but until I'm actually faced with that type of situation, that's where the training come in. I could go to my trainer and be like, listen, Bernard told me, Joe Frazier told me and when I fight a dirty fighter, this is what I have to do. Okay, so from now on, we're going to bring in all dirty sparring partners so that I can apply these things. So when I do fight a dirty guy, I know how to handle it. Am I correct?
All right. So this is what I'm going to say to that, right? So here it is now. Let's just say I'm in the camp with, we're going to say Shakur, right? We're just going to bring him up because that's the person I came to mind. All right. So now we know that the fight he going into is going to be a dirty fighter. They say, Coach, you going to get in there and you're going to betray the dirty fighter. When I get in there with Shakur, I'm going to be the dirty fighter.
Right.
You don't got to go out and get no trainer to be a dirty fighter. You can have a fighter within your camp to be the dirty fighter.
You can, though. But let me ask you a question. If Shakur, a great fighter, southpaw, is his sparring partners going to be orthodox? No, you're going to bring in southpaws.
Stop.
Hey, but y'all, though, at the end of the day, listen, Caleb did not fight a bad fight.
He did. No, I don't think he put a bad fight. I don't think he has nothing to hold his head down about, and he still has a bright future.
But he did one or two things differently, and just made it to the 12th round. We holding a whole different conversation.
And that's why, see, my whole argument was this. I'm only blaming Caleb Plant inexperience. That's what I'm blaming. Had he would have been 30-0 going into this fight with at least 3 big names like a Darrell, a Benavidez, a Charlo, anybody.
Let's be real for a minute. Let's be real for 1 minute. My fault, babe. Let's be real for a minute. That's why he was here. That's why he was here. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, the whole being undisputed, he could have unified 160 if he wanted
that's
to.
true. That's true.
Right.
Play this game. He chose 168 because it was the easiest road.
Exactly. Had he would have what do you think that he would have chose that road if Caleb Plant was 35-0?
Depends what his resume looked like.
Exactly. His resume would. There's no way that he would have made it to 35 fights without fighting big names.
I agree with the
experience.
It's just an argument, though. That's a very interesting argument because
that's why he was here.
Right.
I agree with the inexperience because the way Caleb Plant fought, he fought a good fight, but he fought as if he was a champion and Canelo was a challenger. Perfect example, he had to fight, for example, how Usyk did against AJ. Usyk knew what was at hand.
Okay, all right. I can get with that. I can get with that argument. I mean,
listen, hold on. But hear me, I'm not saying that Plant didn't win rounds. I'm not saying he didn't do good, but it's more you have to do. You're not only fighting a champion with more belts, you fighting with the face of boxing, the golden child. You fighting Canelo, the cash cow.
But AJ's not aggressive at all.
You know what Floyd did?
No, I was using that as an example. I'm not saying that exact style. I was using that as an example.
You know what Floyd did, man? You know what Floyd did that was smart?
What's that?
He fought Canelo early.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That was
I can't agree with that either, Briz. Like, come on. But Canelo, Floyd fought Canelo when he fought Canelo. It wasn't early. It wasn't late. It was Floyd. Canelo got called. Canelo called Floyd out at the right time and said, "I want to fight Floyd Mayweather." There wasn't nobody better than Canelo at that time.
Yes, it was.
Hold on. Listen.
Who else? Who was better than Canelo at that time with Floyd?
Listen, what I'm saying is, when you beat champ, like boxing, it become when you up in them. When you a high echelon fighter, you don't fight the fights that you think you don't fight the fights that you think you're gonna lose. You fight the fights that's gonna put you in a place.
All right, so who was better than Canelo Alvarez at the time that Floyd Mayweather could have fought?
Hold up. You gotta look at what Canelo's doing that Floyd didn't do. Canelo would take a fight at once.
I asked the question. The question was, who was better than than Canelo Alvarez at the time when he asked to fight Floyd Mayweather?
I can't answer the question right now. I got to look back.
Because there was nobody else, Briz. At the time, there was nobody else but Canelo.
Canelo was number 1 at 154 when Floyd. Well, he was number 2 behind Floyd.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. So it made sense for the fight to happen.
Who was number 1 at 147?
Floyd and Pacquiao was 1 and 2.
Okay.
But that was promotional issues. That was more. It was much more to that, though.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
Briz, don't you fit your mouth to say that Canelo is.
What I'm saying is, you just said it. You said Canelo could have took this fight, but he took this fight because it was the easier road for his legacy. That's what you do when you
took the fight because the belt was on the line. I would have took the fight too. You talking about dominancy and to be in the top level of few fighters, which was all the people that said Usyk was the last one in 2018 to get unification. So if somebody got a unification belt, I'm going to fight them. I'm not fighting nobody else. I'm going to fight to unify my belts.
Canelo had 44 fights against a 37-year-old Floyd. How long was Floyd supposed to win?
No, the thing I have with the issue I have with that, it was when people say he fought him too early, there was no other time he could have fought him. Because
that's what I'm saying. You can't even talk that. You can't even argue that he fought him too early or too late. And truth be told, Canelo called him out. Floyd Mayweather. I want to fight Floyd Mayweather, and he gave him what he wanted.
44 fights. How many fights do you need to fight a 37-year-old?
Right. So that my point. So how many fights? No. So when if you want, listen. I agree with you. You're right. I stand corrected. Use that same argument when Caleb Plant got his ass whipped.
But you can't. But no, hold up.
You already won that argument.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And listen. So Norfolk said without the fight, the Floyd fight, Canelo wouldn't be who he is today. I very much agree. I think that he went in there, and I think that he gained something when he fought Floyd. I'm gonna be real. His whole entire style changed after that fight.
Guess what he did? Guess what he gained? Experience. Experience.
All right. Okay. He gained experience.
So everybody that he fought after Floyd, he beat the shit out of him because he had experience.
All right. So I'm gonna bring up.
I guess what I'm gonna
bring up an interesting point.
It's only one Floyd.
There's only one.
Now I'm gonna bring up an interesting. I'm gonna bring up an interesting point.
And guess what Canelo say after every fight? I think Floyd Mayweather. Because that was the fight that put him over the top.
Okay, so with that being said,
Caleb Plant.
If we want to talk about too soon, I'm gonna bring up two fighters. The first one I'm gonna bring up is Mark Vidal, when he won the middleweight title, and he was an unknown guy with 8 fights, and he knocked out the guy that had the belt. He got the IBF fight. He went in there for Thomas Hearns and lost to Tommy Hearns, but he had the belt. Right. So, and then I'm gonna bring up Iran Barkley when he went up against James Toney after he knocked out Tommy Hearns. Those two fighters. Let's talk about the two fights.
Because I like this shit right here. Iran Barkley did what? What did Iran Barkley do?
He went in there against James Toney. I thought it was too early, too soon.
No.
Okay.
Iran Barkley had 2 wins over Thomas Hearns. 2 wins over Thomas Hearns. He went in there with James Toney, and James Toney beat the shit out of him.
He was washed when he fought.
Do you think it was too soon? That's my question I'm asking.
He was washed.
Why not?
He was washed by them.
He was
washed.
James Toney beat shit down his leg. And James Toney had the experience. But you got to remember, James Toney moved up to 175 to beat the shit out of Iran Barkley because he had just fought. Listen, he had got the belt from Michael Nunn. He got the controversial win over Dave Tiberi.
Mm-hmm.
He moved up to 160. He moved up to 175 for Iran Barkley. Beat the shit out of him.
Right.
So it wasn't like he didn't have big names. James Toney, he lost to Roy Jones.
Okay.
He got all that experience under his belt before he fought Iran Barkley.
Okay, so then let's talk about the Mark Vidal. 8 fights, knocks out the IBF champion, gets the belt, and then he goes against the Tommy Hearns. And he was inexperienced, but was it too soon?
No.
You got a belt. You the champion. You the champion. You got a belt.
Because listen, you could win that. What I'm saying is, you could have won that. You using that as to say it wasn't too early for Caleb Plant.
It wasn't. It was his time. What are you talking about?
Leon Spinks beat Ali and he only had 8 fights.
Okay. It was just out Leon Spinks' time.
Yeah.
It was his time.
Yeah, but listen, a heavyweight division is 1 punch away from you winning the title. Caleb Plant didn't.
Wait, hold up. Any division is that way, I feel. Even Caleb Plant said, yo, everybody gets hit with a big shot at this level. Everybody gets hit with a big shot.
No doubt. Did you ever see Caleb Plant flatten somebody with 1 shot?
No.
Right. He don't have the power. Do he have the skill? Yes, he has the skill, but it's nothing behind it. He hit, listen, at the end of round 6, he hit he threw a 9-punch flurry at Canelo. That shit made me laugh, bro. That fucking shit made me laugh.
Hey, honest, if we being honest, it was after about round, I don't know if it was 3 or 4. It was one of them rounds. I was like, the way I kept seeing Canelo just keep putting that instant pressure, I see how this fight going to end.
Yeah,
I could see it.
You know what it really reminded me of? You remember Harlem Nights when everybody was shooting the machine gun, and then the one dude, That's what it looked like.
That's some Oscar De La Hoya Trinidad shit. When Oscar, Sugar Ray, and Hagler, when you try to throw a quick flurry at the end of the round to win the judge is over.
It was worse than that. It was
Briz,
he don't have.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you. Up to that point of the fight, who did you guys have winning the fight, and what did you expect the decision to be had the fight going on? Let's talk about that.
Let me know how many round. What was the round? How y'all had to score up until the stoppage too. I'll go first.
Well, like I said, I thought Caleb Plant did enough. I had him 5 rounds to 4.
Yo, it stopped. It got stopped.
The fight ended in 11.
All right, so I had him 7 rounds to 5. That's how I looked at it.
That's 12 rounds.
I mean, 4, 7. I had him ahead. I had him ahead 6-5. That's what I mean. I had it close, but I had him up around.
Who up around? Who up around?
I had Caleb Plant up around. I thought he was doing enough to win the fight. No, listen. He wasn't listen to what I'm saying. He wasn't landing power shots, but he was keeping busy. He was catching. I mean, you don't get points for defense, but he was responding back very well. I thought so. I had him up 6 rounds.
I had it Canelo 6 rounds to 4.
I can see that. I can see it.
All right, so tell me why you had it up 6 rounds to 4, because I'm interested to know.
I had it 7-3.
For who?
I'll get out of here. Get out of here. You didn't see no 7-3 fight.
Wait, hold on. Let's go into Sibbie. Actually, Sibbie, what round we in? How much time we have?
We actually got 1:20 seconds left. It just popped up.
Oh, okay. Well, give me quickly.
I had a 7-3, man.
Dead wrong.
I seen more adjustment. I seen more adjustments from Canelo, and I seen his attack doing more to Caleb than Caleb's did to Canelo. I didn't see Caleb shots having much of an effect on Canelo. Where Canelo started breaking them down round by round, and eventually you see it played a big part.
All right, and Briz, why you had 7-3?
Because
how much time we got left, Seb?
Because in order to be the champion, you got to be aggressive. And Caleb Plant wasn't aggressive. He was running. And I'm not giving a defensive fighter. I'm not giving a defensive fighter a round in an undisputed championship fight.
How'd you have it, Parson?
I had it 5-5 or 6-4. You could I could get with that. 7-3 I can't see. It was one round where Canelo literally laid on the ropes and let Caleb Plant hit him, and they gave him that round. How you did that?
I think it was round 7.
That wasn't me. I didn't give him that round.
You couldn't have had 7-3. You couldn't have had 7-3 then.
Yeah, listen. Let me tell you this. I'm not giving a fighter. Listen. Remember